Hello and welcome to Claret and Blue post-match podcast. Back to winning ways. Southampton 0, Aston Villa 1, never in doubt. And even Mike Dean joining the growing band of Aston Villa fans now by helping us back at Stockley Park. So I'm joined by James Rushton. How are you, James?
I'm all right. I think everyone might be wondering where Dan is, but I think that's something for the end of the podcast. We get to the pressing issue of Aston Villa finally beating Southampton. Second win since 2005 over them, and I know we didn't play for a long time because they were rubbish in the mid-noughties, but they were a bogey team for us. So I'm glad we went to St Mary's and come away with a win despite some really controversial circumstances.
Well, yeah, I think Gabriel Bonlahor, Libor Kozak and Fabian Delph scored the last time we won there. I remember going down on a freezing winter night, I think back in 2013. I think I even sat on my driving glasses that night, so even that was tinged with a bit of disappointment. But yeah, I mean, listen, we'll get to the usual VAR discussion shortly, and we'll probably be coming at it slightly one-eyed from a different direction to the way we normally do. What did you think about the performance as a whole, James, tonight?
I'm glad. Villa are one of in terms of stopping teams having really good chances against them in general, Villa are one of the better teams in the league when you look at the stats. So really pleasing, and that's come across today. And I know there was the VAR stuff at the end and the handball at the start, well, the quote-unquote handball. It's just good to see that reflected in the performance. It was a solid defensive game. It was all Southampton, so let's be honest, because they're the home team and the way they play suits that. So it's good to see Villa just have that siege mentality, hold their ground, and that defence to a man come out unscathed, because we've been waiting for something like that a day when not a member of Villa's defence goes criticised, so to speak. So I'm really pleased, Matt. What about you?
Yeah, I think it was really, really important after what happened in midweek. This team, I know it's happened a couple of times against Southampton and against Leeds, but this team doesn't concede goals in twos normally, let alone in threes and fours. So for that to happen at Burnley, out of the blue, to be honest, we weren't expecting it with how commanding Villa were. I actually feared there was a little bit of a hangover from it in the first 15, 20 minutes. I thought Southampton looked on top. I thought they were stretching us, but Villa were resolute. And on whatever, I can't remember what night it was. Wednesday night, was it? I think the last match kind of launched an impassioned defence of Tyrone Mings, saying he certainly deserves to stay in the team. And he does. And it wasn't just Mings tonight. It was a complete rearguard action. And, Emi Martinez, on the rare occasions that Villa defence did get breached, there's Emi Martinez, who's brave as you like. Just while I've got him on my mind, it was the save that he made from Che Adams, and then I think the commentators dug him out for kind of flapping at the next one when he's got he's got a shoulder in his face. His fingers have just been stamped on, albeit I think it was accidentally by Che Adams. I think you could give the bloke a break. I think he's at 10 clean sheets now in the Premier League, considering he's very much been the kind of bridesmaid rather than the bride, and not had a run of games really consecutively in the Premier League like this. He kind of grows in value, doesn't he? And then the bargain value of what we got him for probably didn't seem a bargain at the time for reserve goalkeeper. But over the course of this season, I think he's probably going to have won Villa somewhere between 10, a dozen, 15 points. So yeah, I thought it was Villa weren't the free flowing attacking outfit we've come to expect, but I think it was more important that they showed they could do the basics right at the back and get another clean sheet tonight.
Should we get the elephant out of the room then? I know we want to speak about Matt Targett, Matty Cash.
I put a bit of weight on, mate, but you don't need to call me
that. I can't speak highly enough of Matt Targett as well. I think to a man, as I say, when I say that, I mean the back four, Martinez to a man, perfect, 10 out of 10 game from him. Elephant in the room then. Let's talk handball. Let's talk that ball bounced off Matty Cash's hand off his thigh. Or so it seemed. I thought it was going to be a penalty, to be honest. I thought there's no way they can rule that out. And I mean, on the other foot, I'd have been furious if that happened to Villa, as we have been on this show. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I think the general feeling is we got away with one. The handball rule, it changes every week. The handball rule, as far as I'm concerned, ball hits a handball. I'm a Villa fan, so I'm really happy we got away with that. I'm really happy that the rule says if it hits any part of the body before the hand, it's not handball, whatever the resolution they came to there. So I guess I'm really glad with that, because that would have been an absolute game killer from the get-go. That would have been.
Yeah, I can probably be a little bit more gracious now that we won, and it didn't cost us. But like you, I'd have been absolutely seething. If we wouldn't have got the penalty and we'd have had the goal disallowed in the circumstances that they did in stoppage time as well. We can be a little bit facetious and a little bit kind of mocking. Now it's falling down on our side, but it just points to the fact that either the rules themselves or the way they're interpreted or the safety net of VAR, somebody having the benefit of slow-mo and seeing these things in a quiet office free from distraction, it's not fit for purpose. Is it? I know these things even themselves out across the course of the season, but is that a good enough answer? The fact that it's equally bad, across the board? I don't think it is. I know we'll see people saying probably more partisan and one-eye Villa fans than us saying, it clipped up off his leg, so it clearly shouldn't have been a penalty, and Danny Ings' nipple ring was half a millimetre offside, so it clearly shouldn't have been an equaliser, and that's fair. We're fair. That's what football's about. It's about tribalism and being kind of partisan, but I think we've got away. I think we've got away with a couple. I think we deserve it for two reasons. One, I thought we bounced back with real resilience from Wednesday, and two, we've had more than our fair share or our unfair share of these go against us so far this season.
Yeah, we've had the exact same thing with that Danny Ings goal. We've had Ollie Watkins have two of them ruled out, and I guess it just shows the farce that it is, because if we're talking, that's John McGinn there crouching forward, and it's his backside that the offside lines are based on. That's a goal. We've got problems there, and I think they made the point about the band or something. It's ridiculous, and look, I'm glad that they flagged it offside because we got the win, and it's happened to us so many times. But as we say, the almost the karmic balance of VAR, that's going to happen to us again now. It's just going to come around again because the rules are ridiculous and can't be applied to VAR because it doesn't have the context. If that was John McGinn, and as I said, and the lines there, because his backside might be a little bigger than how slim Matty Cash is, we've got an issue, a serious issue. Not here to body shame John McGinn, but different size of players would make a different offside line.
Oh, mate, the way John McGinn uses his bum, he'd probably play somebody on side if he was standing on the halfway line. Listen, it's happened, hasn't it? And like I say, I hope us kind of gloating about it doesn't jinx it for the next game. We're not on the receiving end of one against West Ham on next Wednesday night. But I think that the key thing for me was that I think we're so unused to losing now, and what a remarkable thing that is to say, given what happened last season. We're so unused to the idea of losing that. And I know I shouldn't really take my lead from social media, but it's hard to take it from anywhere else at the moment. No, we're not. We can't use stadium as a barometer. But the kind of mini meltdown that happened because Villa had lost the Premier League game in midweek, and I was trying to say the other night that we've all got to keep a sense of perspective throughout this, because when Villa have had setbacks, they've tended to find a way to bounce back, and that was proved right tonight. The one thing that did concern me, I suppose, but is the manager, and in Dino we trust, is for the last 15-20 minutes, I thought Dino could have been a little bit more forward with his subs in terms of making those a little bit earlier. But we hung on in there, didn't we? Did he make a sub? Did I think Nakamba came on, didn't he? In the
95th minute, 94th minute, maybe. It's
in the closing stages, yeah. I think another important thing from tonight, I'm just checking I've got this correct, is that Target and Grealish managed to escape unscathed in terms of picking up another booking. So yeah. I think I'm right. If I'm wrong, people will tell me in the comments, but I think I'm right in saying that now Villa have reached the halfway point of their season. That means that it's reset for those guys, isn't it? Yeah. I think in terms of booking. So that's good. They've kind of dangled across that tightrope for long enough. So no, it's really encouraging. Can I ask you one thing about the how the table looks really and how the points tally looks, because I'm just looking now. 19 games halfway through the season, 32 points. I think I'm right in saying we finished last season 38 games, 35 points. I don't want to jinx it again. It's going to have to be a spectacular disaster not to eclipse that or to match that, and hopefully we'll have done that by the time we have our next post-match podcast. But it's what do you make of it, James? 8th place. You know, I know Liverpool are a club that are going through troubles of their own at the moment, but we're 5 points behind the champions with the game in hand. It's all rosy again, isn't it, in the Aston Villa garden?
Yeah, it's like almost like a detox, isn't it? After that Burnley loss, a scrappy win at Southampton, one where we hold our own and grind it out. We get 3 points, 3 off our final tally from last season. So, whatever come what may this season, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, it's been a massive, massive success. So really, really pleased with the form we're showing. What we're able to do most games. And it reminds me, I don't want to compare us to Sheffield United because obviously the situation we're in, we seem to have a better team than they did last season. But it's like we either lose games tragically or win games quite heroically. There's no in between. We've only drawn 2 games all season. So we're kind of swinging back and forth, and I hope we can kind of capitalise on where they left off. Everyone's speaking about them for Europe last season. I want us to go that one step further. Lockdown did it for them. They were sloppy. They didn't make it. They didn't get across the line in the end. There can be no excuses with Villa this season. I think in terms of a fan base, our hope should be really high. Our expectations might need to be tempered because there's still half a season to go left. Anything could happen. But our hope should be, as a fan base, aiming for Europe, and as a club, aiming, making the most of the situation we've made ourselves. We haven't found ourselves here by luck or anything. We've earned this season. We have made our own luck and forced our way through. And yes, some scrappy games, some terrible refereeing decisions, but we made the most of a game where I think most Villa fans going into this, it would have been a tough one. It could have been a loss. We don't beat Southampton. History shows we don't beat them. So I'm glad we've finally got one over them today, Matt. Really, really pleased with the table as well. 8th, 32 points. Plenty more to come, hopefully.
Let's talk about the moment that was the deciding factor then, the goal. Is that probably I'm on about tempering expectations, and then I'm throwing kind of a load more hype at you. But was that 2 of England's star midfielders combining for that goal?
Well, it's not like Ross Barkley got dug out against Burnley. I think it was he wasn't really at the races, was he? Today he was all over the shop in the best way possible, tracking back, charging people down, leading the press. At some points it was basically a 4-4-2. He was right up there with Watkins, and I think that showed for his goal. But credit has to go for that goal. I think Matt Target just dinking it over into all that space for Jack Grealish to kind of just dink it across then to Ross Barkley, who did what he did all game and charged into the box. He was leading on the front foot, and every Villa counter, it seemed like he was there getting himself right in the mix with it, and he's grew back into the squad after that injury. Tough game last time out for most of the Villa players. It was in that second half. So yeah, really pleased, and I think he was brought here with the promise that if you show good form, we'll give you a platform to get back into the England side. Don't know who's up for it, but Ross Barkley's got to be giving himself a shout for it. Matt Target as well, Ezri Konsa. There's a few names on there. It's a shame Nick Pope's so good, because I'm sure Gareth Southgate might be asking questions about Martinez's citizenship. Get him in as well. Why not?
In terms of Barkley now, then. So I think he scored the winner at Leicester, didn't he? That seems like absolute yonks ago now. He scored during the rout against Liverpool, and he scored tonight. So that's 3 goals for him for the season. Well, four if you count the one he scored against Barnsley in the EFL Cup for Chelsea. But I think he's more than that, isn't he? I think, like you said, I think we all noticed that he seemed to be, blowing a little bit and a little bit kind of off, not off the pace, but you could see he was rusty and a bit fatigued the other night. But this Villa side's all about energy, whether that's breaking fast with energy or whether that, like you say, that's kind of pressing the opposition, covering every blade of grass. And I think the fact that, well, listen, the people who've come in during Barkley's absence have done well, but I must admit, when Barkley comes in, I think it takes us to another notch in terms of the quality levels. And while I'm talking about quality levels, Jack Grealish doesn't just do the bits where his fancy flicks and his showboats and stuff like that. He can do that, and he does do that, but he's all about the numbers. Again, he scored in midweek. He's got another brilliant assist, and we've got used to Villa being in the Premier League when the graphics that they show on Sky and on BT during the coverage are Villa 20th out of 20 on tables in previous years. But Jack Grealish just seems to be owning all the top stats at the moment. And I don't listen again. I don't want to be negative or look too far ahead to the summer, but he's not going to sneak under the radar. I think Villa. Listen, he signed a long contract, so we've got him tied down. He loves the club. He's in a team that's going places. I would love us to sneak that European place this season, just to say, Jack, we promised you would make progress. We stayed up by the skin of our teeth last season. We're now, trying to muscle our way back amongst the elite because he deserves it. He deserves to be playing on the kind of best stages that there is with Aston Villa, I hasten to add.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's always concerns from, I guess, us in the fan base that if we don't get Europe, then the door opens to him and he goes off. But I think, look, Villa probably expecting the progress they've made because they've come out to be probably in terms of chances created, chances against one of the best teams in the league. You're in the top 4 for that. Don't know where that's going to work out in terms of final position, but from last season, even finishing 10th would be massive, massive progress. So I hope that the players who we assume might leave if we don't get to Europe, be looking at that as progress anyway. I really hope that's the case, and I'm sure they're all level-headed and ready to take the next step next season. Again, like everyone, I hope it is that this season ends in a European place for us. Let's see. Hopefully, we can. If the situation changes, we can actually attend it. I'd rather us almost not qualify for Europe this season. If we can't attend it, I'd rather get it in next season when we can all go across the continent and we've got to get it done though. I think we're in a position to really capitalise, as I've said. But I want to talk about the subs, Matt, because I see a lot mentioned about Dean Smith not using substitutions. I think when I was covering Villa versus West Brom, he did comment on it, and he said, Dean Smith said, I'm only going to make changes when I see a tactical change that needs to be made or someone needs actually to come off. Did you think he needed to make a change earlier? Because I think the assumption was as the match grows on, you need to make a change for fresh legs. You give Southampton something to deal with, but I think we're pretty much fine. I don't know. Am I towing the line there?
Yeah, listen, I think it's just, that Villa are, that Southampton are going to come. They're a team who have got ambitions like Villa as well to be in that kind of higher part of the table. On the home turf, they're going to come and they're going to crank it up towards the last part of the game. I just wondered whether it was worth giving Trezeguet a run out to just give Matty Cash a little bit of more help down the right. I don't think I'd have brought the new man on. I don't think I'd have brought Morgan on. It was a game. I'm sure he'd have more than enough quality to help Villa see out that game. But it was a game. You'd rather bring him on when you're 2 or 3-0 up, wouldn't you? And introduce him that way. But like I said, Dean Smith's the manager, and if Danny Ings' goal would have counted in the dying stages, we'd have probably all been battering Dino for not doing more to shore it up. But we've fallen down on the right side of it tonight. Just on the Europe thing, I'm not saying that Aston Villa need to finish in Europe to get Jack Grealish to stay. I don't think that's going to. I think Jack Grealish will want to stay, and Villa will persuade him to stay anyway. I'm just thinking about kind of those tangible kind of stages of progress. To show that listen, whatever happens this season now, touch wood, we will have made progress. But I just think it'd be a real statement of intent, not only for Jack Grealish, but if Smith wants to make another 2 or 3 additions to this squad to keep evolving in the summer. In terms of, Villa qualifying for Europe and the fans not being there, I don't really like the idea of that, to be honest.
It'd be horrible. I've been dreaming.
Yeah, it's like Glastonbury's already been cancelled, hasn't it? So might as well cancel the Europa League, or just delay it and play it in a shorter format when we're all allowed back over there. But we possibly are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, dare I say it, after 19 games. What else was I going to say to you? So it's West Ham. It's West Ham next on Wednesday, isn't it? I think. Have I got the fixtures right?
Yep, you have. They're fifth place, 20 games played, 35 points. They've matched our tally from last season. Won their last two games, well, last three even, albeit against Burnley, West Brom and Palace. They got Liverpool tomorrow, so I guess we can all sit down and have a good look at them against Liverpool. But 8:00 Wednesday. They come to Villa Park, and that's a big game, isn't it? I think two teams aiming for the same kind of position. Of two teams who've done really, really well this season. Kind of not for us unexpectedly, but I guess that the mainstream like footballing zeitgeist of Villa and West Ham have shocked the world almost.
Yeah, it kind of takes a bit of the gloss off ours, doesn't it? So I'm just looking at the table, seeing them there. Yeah, we want to be the highest finishing Claret and Blues. Got a game in hand, so yeah, he kind of falls into the kind of, the dinosaur category, doesn't he? I suppose David Moyes a little bit unfairly. But they've done a fantastic job. I think they've got Jesse Lingard on loan now, haven't they, as well? So I know Villa were linked with him, but I don't think that was ever really a goer, considering the quality that Villa already have in that area of the pitch. But no, it's important. I thought that game down there was one of the ones where we did have a kind of right to moan about VAR. To be honest, I thought it was a decent performance, and I thought we deserved more than we got that night. And I think tonight gets us back on track and kind of paves the way for. I don't know. I'd like to think we can put a mini run together. I don't see why we shouldn't. I don't think there's going to be much activity from Villa on deadline day on Monday, so I think we're probably going to pretty much go with what we've got, unless they kind of pull a rabbit out of a hat in terms of another centre forward. But I think the fact that we've seen Wesley, photos of him back on the training ground suggest that they're not just going to sign a striker for the sake of it. But no, I'm really pleased that we found that the little bit of kind of, like I say, mini meltdown that followed Wednesday's game has been very short-lived, because Villa have gone away and shown what they're all about again.
Yeah, I'm glad about this win for the three. As simple as it sounds, just the 3 points that would obviously come with a win, but because if we headed into this West Ham game, losing to Burnley, losing to Southampton, there'd be no breathing room almost. Would there be like suffocating a need to win? And yes, I do think Villa must win to kind of keep progressing. But after that win today, kind of not almost unexpected that it came, it just gives you that much room to kind of consider that, all right, if we don't get a result against West Ham, we go again against Arsenal. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but Villa have given themselves a little bit of breathing room here, because those games in hand kind of seem to be getting away almost. If it's almost, you look at those games in hand and think, right, that's 6-9 points there to add on to the current total, when it obviously doesn't work like that. So I'm glad we've got that little bit of breathing room now heading into West Ham, which could be a really difficult game, and I really hope we get our revenge over them.
These it's a cliche, but these games come so thick and fast that I've almost forgotten that Villa were shut down for a fortnight because of VAR. And Smith's kind of got these players, and for the most part, it's the same. There's not many tweaks to that first 11, and he's got them to go to the well, 2 or 3 times after a fortnight break, when we don't know which of them was suffering and which of them, all of them would have suffered for the fact that they weren't doing the usual preparation, the usual training. I think it's a credit to him and to the coaching staff that he's got there, really. That there just seems to be this kind of winning mentality now. The thing I was going to ask you, James, we'll wrap up in a minute, and I'll probably put you on the spot a little bit here, but you've managed to kind of keep an eye on one of Villa's young guns today, didn't you? We've got you to watch Notts County versus Weymouth, and go on, tell us who you were casting your eye over.
So obviously Dom Revan played against Liverpool in the FA Cup, and we were forced to kind of field the under-18s team with only a few of the starring under-23s. But Dom Revan's kind of very much one of the main names of the next generation of villains coming through. He was sent to Weymouth on loan, and I think a few Villa fans and even pundits raised an eye. Why is he going to Weymouth in the National League? I think since he's came in, they kept 2 clean sheets, and they only conceded 1 today, and he's been really solid. He's come in and started for a team kind of languishing at the bottom of the National League after being promoted from the National League South on the playoffs coming in, fighting to establish themselves and survive themselves just under the foot of the Football League. And he's combined really, really well with another young defender called Jacob Mensah. And, the best thing I can say about him is he looks just so comfortable. He looks all right. He just fits in there. And it's amazing. You've been playing like kids football, essentially academy football, and you've stepped into this team. And I know it's not League One, not the Championship, not League Two, where Villa fans would like to see him playing. But he stepped in straight away at a team that's facing a relegation battle, and he's really, really comfortable. He reads the game so well. He's confident. Yes, he's still almost got that kind of kiddish thing in that he gets frustrated when he makes a mistake and he tries too hard to make up for it. But he seems to have all the tools to kind of make it and be a league player. And I really hope he makes a breakthrough at Villa. We'll see. It's only early in his spell, but he's got everything right about him. When you hear the commentators speaking about him, and I know they're club biased, it was a Weymouth commentators today, when they're suggesting man of the match, he's not the man of the match, but he's in contention, and he's a lone player, a young lone player who's coming, started straight away and holding out those senior pros. So future's really bright for that crop of youngsters, as especially Louis Barry, Mungo Bridge, or the other names he played in that game, that famous game now against Liverpool. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what he can do, because I know he lost today, but it was fantastic to see how he adapted to the professional game.
No, it's really interesting to keep tabs on him, because let's face it, God forbid there's not another shutdown of Bodymore, but probably not going to be near the first team again for a while. So I know a few of them have gone out on loan. So no, it's really interesting. Just finally, I'm going to put you on the spot again because you're a man of the world. How do you pronounce the name of this new midfielder from Marseille? Because I've listened to the commentator today, and he called him I think he called him Morgan Sanson, which sounded like Sarson's vinegar to me. I don't know what your French is like, James, but I'm just calling him Morgan Sanson. Is that all right or not? Or...
French is tricky for me because I'm never sure if you should use it's legitimate to use the accent and almost sound a bit. It's not like Joey Barton, because he was saying English words with a French accent, not French words in the French pronunciation. So I'm never too sure. I don't want to put myself out there. I'll just go with what they're saying, and I'm not going to say it ever again. It's Sanson from now on, I guess.
I'm just calling him Morgan. Yeah, I'm calling him Morgan. He just goes a bit a lower, I think, if we try and it either goes a bit a lower or a bit Jack Woodward when he's trying a bit too hard. So
we'll see when he starts playing games. I know it might be a bit too early to kind of drop him against West Ham, but we'll see to what people are actually saying about him. Hyrahan was another wrong one, and that's an Irish name, isn't it? So mistakes can be made all over the shop.
Yeah, well, like I say, I think in those circumstances we just call people by the first names. Listen, I'm ready for a cup of tea and probably an early night because I'm a boring old man. James, you're probably going to tear it up by having a rave in your own room because you're under lockdown. But yeah, we better explain Dan's absence. He's managed.
Kidderminster Harriers fan now. He's launching our Kidderminster Harriers podcast, Red and White, I believe, next week. He's stepping down from this.
Probably the best place for him. What was I going to say? So he's cut the apron strings. He's moved house today. He's left his he's fled the nest or whatever the thing is, and he's been doing all his homes under the hammer stuff, hasn't he? Today, kind of stairs leading up to the bedrooms and all that kind of nonsense. So the cheeky sod, actually, because it's deadline down, we need him to graft properly on Monday, even if there's not a kind of flurry of signings and departures as we don't expect there will be. He said, "Tell you what, Matt, I'm waiting in for my Wi-Fi box. Can you come and house sit, and I'll go and work around my mum and dad's?" I'm thinking, learn some respect, man. Learn some respect. But so he'll be back anyway. I'll be back on Monday, as we all will, just to bring you up to speed with anything that does happen. It might be one of those under 18s going on loan to League Two or something that we do in a 40-minute podcast about. But we'll definitely have Ugly Mugs back in front of you again. Villa back to winning ways. Up to 8th in the Premier League. VAR is our friend for one night only, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll live to face the punishment of coming out on the right side of it today. But thanks for tuning in. You can find us usual places, James, iTunes, Spotify, your local news agent, wherever you want to find us, we'll be there. So until next time, chaps, thank you. I'm Mat Kendrick. This is James Rushton. We're part of Claret and Blue and Up the Villa.
Up the Villa. See you later, and thanks for watching.